G'day, it's Will here, and in this video I'm going to explain all 22 different species of the cockatoo and what makes every species unique. Now, because this is such a long video, I might get some wording wrong. A cockatoo is a type of parrot that can be found all throughout Australasia and Southeast Asia, including Australia, Indonesia, the Philippines and Papua New Guinea. There is over 22 species of the bird. They are a type of parrot that belongs to the Cockatoo family. Cockies are recognisable by their prominent crest and curved bill. They are usually less colourful than the average parrot, with their colour schemes usually being white, black or grey. On average, the cockatoo is one of the largest parrots, but some of the smaller species of cockatoo, well, they're just smaller birds. The cockatoo's diet usually includes seeds, flowers, fruits and insects. They often eat in large groups, particularly on the ground while they're scavenging, and they nest in tree hollows. Some species of cockatoo have unfortunately lost their habitat due to human growth and changes in their area. But some have adapted well, like the Sulphur-Crested and Galah. They can almost be found in nearly every suburban Australian town. Also, the cockatoo is a fast learner. They have proven that they can learn new skills through social interaction through the last few decades. And the word cockatoo originates from the Dutch. The cockatoo does have predators, from the great white-tailed rat in Cape York to eagles and even brush-tailed possums. But majority of the predators will go for the cockatoo eggs and nesting space, as it's an easier target. Just like other parrots, the cockatoo can be affected by citizen beak and feather disease. This causes feather loss and beak malformation, and unfortunately reduces the bird's overall immunity. Now that we know what makes a cockatoo, let's talk about all the 22 species of the cocky and what makes every species so unique. And how I'm going to talk about the species is, I'm going to start with a very common one, then a very rare one, then a very common one, and then the list goes on and on. So let's get started. Now, the most common and most recognisable cockatoo is the Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo, and is infamous for its white body and yellow crest at the top. These cockies can grow up to 44 to 55 centimetres tall. Now, they can be found all throughout Australia, from Tasmania to the Kimberley. They are only absent from the deserts as there's no trees there. And fun fact, they were actually introduced to Perth, which was originally out of their national range. And this isn't the only place they've ever been introduced to. They've also been introduced to Singapore and also New Zealand and Hawaii too. And these birds are definitely not scared of suburban areas, usually being found in nearly every major city on the east coast of Australia. They are also known to be a bit of a pest in certain areas by eating and attacking things. They're also one of the smartest cockatoos, and they're able to learn very quickly. They've been able to learn how to lift up bin lids to get to the rubbish inside. A lot of people see this behaviour and think the animal's a pest, but in reality it just proves how fast they're quickly able to adapt to new environments. And unfortunately they get a lot of hate. You see these videos online all the time saying how we need to reduce their numbers as they're a pest. But hey, guess what? You live in Australia, you gotta live with Australian wildlife. Now, this is the rarest cockatoo out of them all, and that is the Citron-Crested Cockatoo, which is a medium-sized cockie. And they can only be found in one island in the world, and that is Sumba Island in Indonesia. Their appearance is white, also having an orange crest. That stands out a lot because it looks like a giant orange punk mohawk. And this bird is super rare, with only 10 observations on iNationalist compared to the Sulphur-Crest, which has over 13,000. And sadly, they are classified as critically endangered, with an estimation from 2012 that there's only 500 left in the wild. The second most known cockatoo is the Galah, or also known as the rose-breasted cocky. And they can grow up to 35 centimetres tall, and are famously known for their colour scheme, which includes a pink face, light pink crest, and a pale silver to grey back. The species is native to Australia and found all throughout the country, but they are only absent from the Cape York Peninsula, and they were also introduced to Tasmania. And because Australia felt sorry for the Kiwis, they were also introduced to New Zealand. And the Galah is quite unique because it can be found from 10 to 1,000 individuals in one flock. And sometimes they travel in mixed flocks, including the little Corella and the Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo. And the Galah has a crazy lifespan, with one Galah living in captivity to 72 years. But unfortunately, the wild Galahs have a life expectancy of 20 years. One of the rarest cockatoo species is the blue-eyed cockatoo. And the blue-eyed cocky is one of the largest cockatoos in the family, growing up to about 50 centimeters tall. Now they might look like your average cockatoo, but what makes them stand out is their blue ring around their eyes. And they are only native to one island in the world, and that is New Britain Island in Papua New Guinea. And back in 2008, the bird was classified as vulnerable. Now onto our first black cockatoo species, and that is the yellow-tailed black cockatoo. And they can grow up to 55 to 65 centimeters tall, making them one of the biggest cockatoos. And their appearance includes a short crest at the top of their head, a black body, a prominent yellow cheek patches, and a yellow tail band. They also have a pinkish eye ring too, and they are native to the southeast of Australia. They can be found from South Queensland right down to Tasmania, also including southern South Australia. The habitats they live in is forest and forested areas, and on the conservation status they are classified as a least concern. Now onto the only species of cockatoo that can be found in the Philippines, and their name is the Philippine cockatoo. And they can be found in, you guessed it, the Philippines on Palawan Island. And they can grow up to 30 centimeters tall. And their appearance includes a white body, with most of their colouring being on their tail, having a red and yellow at the bottom. And unfortunately, their conservation status is at critically endangered, with an estimation of only 430 to 750 individuals. But there has been a lot of positive conservation work being done with these birds, from the Katana Foundation to make a population on Russa Island. Now onto the little Corella, or the bare-eyed cockatoo. They are native to Australia and also southern Papua New Guinea, where they are also kept as a pet and also used to traditionally be eaten there. And they can grow up to 35 to 40 centimeters and traditionally recognized by how small they are compared to other cockatoo species. They are white all over, having pink cheeks and blue eye rings. They are known to travel in large flocks of over 1,000 birds at once, and they can be seen hanging out with other cockatoos, including the Galah. Now this is the Solomon cock, and is a species that can only be found on the Solomon Islands, and they are common across most of the Solomon Islands. Habitats include rainforest and secondary forest, and their colour scheme is practically white with a blue eye ring. They also have a redundant crest that resembles a sail, just like off a sailing boat. There is over 100,000 of the individuals in the wild, so they're classified as least concerned. Now it's on to the mother flipping gang cockatoo, bro. They can grow up to 32 to 37 centimeters in length. The gang cockatoo has quite a unique colour scheme, with both genders being different. Both genders have a mild grey body. While my gang girls, they got a mild grey head. While my gang boys, they got a red head and a red crest. The gang cockatoo also makes an appearance on the emblem of the ACT, the Australian Capital Territory. They can be found in South Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT. And unfortunately, they are classified as vulnerable on the conservation status. Now the white cockatoo, or the umbrella cockatoo, is a medium-sized cockatoo, which colour palette is, well, you've guessed it, all white. Now they are native to the tropical rainforest islands of Indonesia, and they were also introduced to Taiwan. And when it's surprised, it extends its large and striking head crest, which resembles an umbrella. There's also a pale yellow colouring on the wings and tail, and sadly the bird is classified as endangered, with one of the main reasons being is because of the illegal bird trading in Indonesia. But thankfully Indonesia is tightening their illegal trade business, making sure these cockatoos are safe. This is the long-billed Corella, and is a native bird in Australia, which is very similar in appearance to the little Corella. They are white with a reddish pink faced forehead. They also have a long pale beak and reddish pink feathers on the breast and belly. They can grow up to 38 to 41 centimeters in length, and they can be found all throughout South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. Also, since the 1980s, there's been a feral population of them in Perth. This is the Salmon-Crested Cockatoo, which has nothing to do with the fish salmon, but it is native to eastern Indonesia and was also introduced to Hawaii. They can grow up to 48 to 52 centimeters tall and is one of the largest white cockatoo species. They have white-pink feathers with a peachy glow, and they also have a slight yellowing on their underwing. They have a large recumbent crest being bright red and orange, and they are classified as a vulnerable species. The red-tailed black cockatoo is one of the larger black cockatoo species, which is native to Australia. They also look like the yellow-tailed black cockatoo, but with the large difference being, well, their tail's red. They also have a bigger crest and yellow grading on their body. And there's difference between the genders, with the male having a darker greyer beak, while the female having a light grey beak, and yellow on their tail too. And they can grow up to 60 centimeters tall. They can be found all throughout Australia, with some hotspots including southern Western Australia, North Queensland, and North Territory. And they are classified as least concerned on the conservation status. Next on the list is the Western Corella, and they are native and only found in Western Australia, with a believed population of 5,000 to 10,000 individuals, and they can be found in the southwest of the state. The bird is white and under the surface of their wing is pale yellow. They also have a blue-greyish eye ring, and they also have a crimson-pink colouring between the eyes and beak. They can grow up to 43 to 48 centimeters in length, and sometimes they can be seen in flocks up to over 700 birds at once. Even though they can only be found in a small area of the country, on their conservation status, they are classified as least concerned. Next cocky is the glossy black cockatoo, which is native to Australia, and they can grow up to 50 centimeters in length. And there's some difference between the genders. Males are blackish brown, except for their red tail bands, and the females are dark brownish with some yellow spotting too. They can be found all throughout East Coast Australia, from Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. And on the conservation status, they are listed as vulnerable. Now onto the visually most unique cockatoo on the list, and that is the palm cockatoo. And they are native to the Cape York Peninsula in Australia and also Papua New Guinea. And they are the largest cockatoo species in Australia, growing up to 60 centimeters tall.
You're a big guy.
For you.
And they are such a recognisable bird, having a large crest and the second biggest bill out of any parrot. The colour scheme is majority black with bright red cheeks. And they are also known to be a bit of a musician. And they use trees to drum on, which can be heard up to 100 metres away. And unfortunately, because of their unique appearance, they are in high demand in the pet trade, being the #1 cockatoo people want to get in the black market. Now on to the next cocky, and that is Carnaby's cockatoo. And yeah, Mr. Carnaby discovered this species. And they can grow up to 53 to 58 centimeters tall. And their colour scheme includes being greyish black with light grey or yellowing around their neck. They also have bits of white on the end of their feathers. They can be mostly found in the southwest of Australia, mostly in the wheat belt region. And their total population is estimated to be 40,000 individuals, but they are still classified as endangered. Now on to the last black cockatoo, and that is Baudin's black cockatoo, and was discovered by a French explorer named Nicolas Baudin in the 1830s. Having a short crest on top, a black body, a prominent white yellowish cheek patches, and also a white tail band. And the only difference between the genders is their eye ring. with the males having a pink eye ring, with the females having a grey eye ring. And they can grow up to 56 centimeters in length. And just like the Carnaby cockatoo, they can be found in the southwest of Australia. And it is estimated that there's only 10 to 15,000 individuals in the wild. And unfortunately, they are classified as critically endangered. And now onto the last Corella, and that is the Tanimbar Corella. And they are native to the Tanimbar Islands of Indonesia, but have also been introduced to Puerto Rico and Singapore. And this Corella can grow up to 31 centimeters tall. And unfortunately, due to habitat loss and illegal hunting, they are now classified as near threatened. Onto the Yellow-Crested Cockatoo, and also gets the nickname the lesser Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo. What a horrible nickname to have. And they can grow up to 34 centimeters tall. And they have some of the characteristics of the Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo, including a yellow crest. And they are only native to East Timor and Indonesia. But what makes them different to the Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo is that they're smaller than them. And unfortunately, because of their similar appearance, they always get mistaken for them too. But they can easily be identified if you know what you're looking for. And the easiest way to is by checking their yellowish cheeks. And the species was introduced to Hong Kong, which has over 200 of them in the wild now, which is approximately 10% of their wild population in the whole world. Now this is the cockatiel, and it really stands on its own in this list because it's in its own branch and classification of the cockatoo family, and is the only member of the Nymphicus line. And they're mostly known for being pets and companion parrots all throughout the world. And they are the smallest cockatoo species out of them all, only growing up to 30 to 33 centimeters tall. And they can be found all throughout Western New South Wales, Northern Territory, Queensland and the Kimberley region. Now we're on to the last species of cockatoo. And the last species is the pink cockatoo, or the Major's Mitchell cockatoo, which is a medium-sized cockie. And they can be found in inland areas of Australia, including New South Wales, Southern Queensland, North Southern Australia, and Victoria, mostly found in dry or desert habitats. But what makes this bird so unique is their colouring, with its crest being bright red and yellow, giving it a look no other bird has. And it also has a soft pink body with whitish grey feathers too. And unfortunately, the Major's Mitchell cockatoo is listed as endangered all throughout Australia. And the reason why is because compared to the Galah and the Sulphur-Crested Cockatoo, they haven't been able to adapt to suburban living as well as the other species. And an example of this is because the Major Mitchell's cockatoo do not like to nest near other cockatoos. So they live more spread out from each other compared to other cockies on this list. And the pink cockatoo is quite unique because they mate for life, but they can still be seen in flocks of 10 to 50 individuals, which is such a low number compared to the other birds on this list. So that makes them the most individual cockatoo out of them all. Now this is the end of the video, and now you know about every species of cockatoo. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and tell me in the comments below what your favorite species of cockatoo is. And hopefully watch one of my other videos. Goodbye.